You're watching 7 River Sports here on KQEG. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, and into fitness. Well, this is a special week. Very special week. Not only because it's Thanksgiving, but because we have 3 of the most elite athletes in the entire area in cross country and track and field. Happen to be triplets. You've probably seen them on TV before. My guests this week, the Malecek triplets, Kora, Lydia, Amalia. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
It's pretty appropriate that here we taped the show on November 18th, and just a couple days ago, it was revealed to the Cooley region that the 3 of you signed a Big Ten scholarship paid letter of intent to Champaign, Illinois, the home of the Illini, the University of Illinois. So you could have stayed in lacrosse and been a fighting eagle, where your dad is the head wrestling coach and your mom works, but you decided to spread your talents to the Big Ten. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's quite an honor.
And also, advancing to state, we're going to talk about the accomplishments of all 3 of them. But let's just pivot for 1 minute and talk about a couple other things. Again, here we are the show airs on Thanksgiving week. So reflect a little bit, starting with you, Kora, on maybe what you're grateful for, what you're thankful for. What do the holidays mean to you, Kora?
I mean, usually the holidays mean to me, like, a lot about, like, family and, like, getting together, and that's kind of the stuff I look forward to. Like, we have this tradition in our family where, like, for a while now, like, during the Christmas weekend or Thanksgiving weekend, we, like, rotate which side of the family we go and do, like, the big gathering on. And obviously this year with COVID, like, that's a little different, so we'll probably just do, like, a big FaceTime or something. But I'm always really thankful for my family around the holidays.
Well, I know all 3 of you are, when you think of the word Malecek, you think of family because that's who you are. I mean, you're grounded. It's not about you, it's about your teammates and your family, and that's one of the reasons you're a guest on the show this week, because of your attitudes, your personality, and how you represent Onalaska High School. Talking about COVID, I mean, this is a difficult time, though, for young people, for all people in all demographic groups. But you're basically virtual, you're blended and so on. You lost last spring's track season. You're in school, you're out of school, it's a difficult time in a variety of ways. How are you handling that, Lydia?
I think definitely for at least athletics-wise, like I made a joke about it to my family. It's definitely athletics. Like you're not, like with not like losing last year's season. Obviously, it means that like you just kind of have to focus down and like it's almost like being like a professional athlete. Like it's the one thing you do, like to kind of get through each day. Just because like for me at least, like and my sister's, like running was one constant we had when everything was getting canceled or upheaved. And I think during COVID, it really just helped to have something to focus in on, that even if like we don't get to compete, like the art of the sport like basically stays the same, and you could still go outside and run no matter what was happening.
Therapy.
For sure.
So it's kind of, I did more running, more workouts during starting in March when COVID hit than I've probably ever done in my lifetime, because I needed that therapy, I needed that outlet. But there are so many difficult things going on in the world now too, Amalia. The toxic presidential election, it just was it was deflating to watch all of it. The fact that the economic issues are in peril and we're struggling with unemployment and so on, and COVID and racial injustice issues. So, you know, you, Generation Z, and at some point in the future you will be making the decisions, then you'll be impacting others. So, is it weigh heavily on somebody your age, Amalia, that you're seeing all this turmoil?
I definitely think that, like, with the turmoil with our presidential election and, like, with the Black Lives Matter movement, it's really important in our generation to get involved. Like, I couldn't vote this year because I was too young, but I still would, like, I still encourage my friends who were old enough to vote. And I did some of the Black Lives Matter marches because I think, like, it's just really important that we're involved and we're not just, like, standing to the side and just watching it all go down. I think it's important that, especially with our generation, that we keep getting involved and we keep working to kind of make an impact and help for the future.
I really like this saying, educating the mind as a high school student, middle school, elementary, college. Educating the mind without educating the heart and soul is no education at all. None, Lydia. In other words, if you're oblivious to what's going on in the country and in the world and in other cultures, you're not getting an education. At Onalaska High School, you, your peers, and so on, how do you see what's happening and how can you change it?
I feel like at Onalaska High School, like obviously pre-COVID, we did a lot of discussion in school, but I think especially during the events during COVID, like I feel like a lot of kids at Onalaska, we have a Students for Dialogue and Social Change Club. We've organized, like, we have a great student council and a Rotary Club who's organized a lot of great things. And I think at Onalaska, like, empathy is a huge part. Like, we really care about the community, and, like, I think they do a great job of making sure that everybody knows, like what Amalia said, your voice is heard, and you gotta, like, put something out there in order to, if you want to see change in the world, or, like, you gotta put, like, empathy and kindness out there.
Some adults say, well, students have a sense of entitlement sometimes in some schools. Kora, in other words, they don't really understand what other people are going through. Do you understand, Kora?
Well, I don't really think that, like, I think empathy is really important. I don't think you can ever, like, truly understand, like, quite what makes one person feel some way about a topic or another, but I think what's most important is, like, being able to understand as much as you can. Like, maybe you won't be able to, like, because you're not really going to know how they feel unless you are them. But I think, like, especially with the Black Lives Matter movement, like, I'm never going to understand what it's like to be black in America. But I can try, like, as best I can to, like, listen to people who are speaking about it, or, like, talking about it and hearing their stories and changing maybe the way I act or the way I think about things. So I think what's important is, like, having a lot of empathy and, like, doing the most you can to make yourself, like, receptive to other people's messages and, like, what they want to be changed.
And understand what other people are going through. So, well said. Well, Kora, 2019 Nike Cross Country National Finalist. We talked about it before we went on the air, but wow. Two-time state cross country champs, state record, first in 2020. Won the 3,200 meter run, state track and field 2019. 4x800 state runner-up. I mean, you've won and done about everything. Did you think when you were younger, everyone has a dream? People are like, you lay bed at night thinking, you know, I hope this happens to me. But most people never achieve those kinds of accolades. What are your thoughts on that?
I guess, like, it was kind of strange because my sisters and I, like, we never really ran, like, competitively when we were kids at all. Like, we'd do, like, the turkey trot with our mom, but that was more because we got Texas Roadhouse buns afterwards, so that was kind of our incentive.
Bribed us with food.
So we basically got bribed. But, like, I think what helped my sisters and I, at least, is, like, we didn't really get into running until we hit, like, middle school, high school. So everything seemed, like, really new. Like, even when we were in high school, like, running still seemed new to me. Like, the state meet was like, oh, I hope I make it there one day. Like, I just thought, like, our mantra has always been, like, just work as hard as you can, and then whatever happens, happens. So.
Well, it's happened for Lydia, too. Second in 800 in the 2019 track and field. 2020, 4x800 runner-up state meet. Again, each year since you were a freshman. National Honor Society, I mean, you've all conference. Did you think you'd accomplish that? And who planted to see that maybe you could be special someday?
I don't think I ever thought anything like this would happen. I think, honestly, my sisters and I, we started cross country because, like, kind of just, we were atrocious at, like, every other sport on the planet, and because, like, it was just, like, in middle school especially, the team atmosphere was just so fun. But I think for sure, like, I think our dad definitely planted a huge seed. Our mom was super influential as well, but, like, our dad, like, just has such a passion for sports, and, like, he always taught us, like, no matter what sport we do, just, like, give it your all. And like what Kora said, like, I guess it's kind of just what we put into it, and what's come out of it is, like, a huge part of just the attitude of loving the sport you do, no matter how well you do.
It shows, no question about it. Amalia won the 1,600 in the state meet as a junior. sophomore, I mean. Junior didn't exist.
Let's just say she wanted us.
Okay, we'll say that. And then runner-up in the 4x8 and cross-country meet, you were 18th, all academic, National Honor Society, everything else too. But you certainly felt that you had the ability, I imagine, as you were in middle school.
I think, kind of like what my sister was saying, in middle school we knew that like if we worked hard, we were more in the mindset of, well, we weren't actually the fastest on our team in middle school, but we had the mindset that if we worked really hard, we could get up to where we wanted to be. And I think in high school was more of when it kind of started to be like, well, I've obviously got something that if I work hard at and I refine, I can get better and improve. So I think that's kind of when we started realizing our own potential, and that's when like Shep and our parents and everyone just started kind of rallying behind us to help us achieve it.
Well, when you learned that, when you felt that, when you were told that, did that even inspire you more?
I would say yes, because like you don't want to waste a talent if you have it, and like I don't want to just say, oh well, I could have been a good runner but I didn't do everything I should have, so I ended up being mediocre. Like if I want to achieve the best I can do, I think it's just like with my sister and I, we just want to work the hardest we can, and that's why we're knowing whatever achievement we get out of that is the most we could have gotten with the best work we could have put in.
So you did not want to live, all three of you, this is applicable, you did not want to live in that proverbial temple called regret.
Oh, for sure.
Or called mediocrity.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Because you know, there's a lot of people that live in those two temples, and you want to build your own temple.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, we're going to step aside just for 1 minute. When we come back, more here on Seven River Sports.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
Seven River Sports. Again, this week, the Malecek triplets, Kora, Lydia, and Amalia. Well, before we went on the air, we talked about Coach Shep, Darren Shepherdson, the head coach at Onalaska, who happens to be a friend of mine, and he shared some thoughts with me, and we're starting with Kora. He said, Kora never settles, is always working to become better. I've never had another runner, male or female, Shep says, that was so highly focused. Her passion for running is off the charts. She enjoys punishing and pushing her competition. She loves quails. Like, there's this last sentence, she loves quails. Well, starting with his compliment on your intensity, what's your thought on that?
I think like it's kind of like my racing style. Like throughout the whole like cross-country experience and track experience, like my racing style, or like whenever I did a race or like whenever I do a workout, I'm just like, well, I'm just gonna get out as hard as I can, so that way there's a cushion if something goes wrong. So that has resulted in me getting out ahead of myself a couple times. Like at the state meet, I was hurting in that last 400 meters because I got out way too hard. But like, I think the intensity kind of comes from like, I really always have a drive to like do as much as I can to like get better. So I'm like, oh, well, this worked when I worked harder, so like I should just keep ramping it up. So occasionally I've had to be held back a bit sometimes because I tend to like just go to the extreme.
Well, many elite athletes, and not so elite like me, push themselves the same way. But she loves quails.
Yeah. I could talk for hours about my quail.
Well, we don't have hours.
Yeah.
So real quickly, what does that mean?
So I have quail at home. I have Blondie, Scarface, Rosetta, Ophelia, and Boomer. And I have them in a hutch outside that my lovely mother helped me insulate for the winter. But they're a great distraction for me for running, and like I'm in love with them. They're like the light of my life.
Do quails run?
I mean, they are speedy. Scarface has gotten out a couple times, and my sisters have heard me screaming as I run through the yard trying to catch her. But
oh, well, let's move on to something else. Starting with Lydia is a true competitor, says Coach Shep. She's not afraid to be challenged. Is one of the toughest runners I've ever worked with. She is a rocket and has continued to improve from her 5K all the way down up the ladder to the 400 meters. She has a ton of potential and is just beginning to explore that potential. Whoa! Does that describe you?
I think it does. I mean, definitely what he says about like me being, well, I'd say I'm more stubborn sometimes, but I think that I think that definitely plays into my running. Like, I just definitely, like, if Kora gets out super hard, like, I'm just stubborn. Like, I try to just, whoever's up there, I'm just going to stick with them or die trying. Like, it's definitely for me, like, I race, like, just go out there, give it your all, and it's been pretty fun. Just, if I don't give up, they gotta, yeah.
And we can't forget about Amalia. So Amalia is incredibly coachable. More so than maybe her sister?
Yes.
Listens to her coaches and does everything she's asked to do. She's a great team player and understands that love is the most powerful full force in the universe. Oh, whoa. Pretty deep statement there, Coach Shep. She always says to me, I am your favorite triplet.
Yeah, I do say that a lot. I think it's, if I keep repeating it, he'll accept the fact. It's a competition between us three.
Well, of course it is. So, but we have so much to talk about yet. But you're both going to Illinois now. I was kind of kidding when I said I'd love to see you run as an Eagle because I know a lot of the coaches and athletes that run here at UW La Crosse. There's also a team called the Turbo. We've had some of their athletes on. But you had real quickly, as we try to move through a lot of things here, but what made you decide, I guess collectively, all three of you, to go to Illinois?
I think it was just such an amazing program. We have one of our family friends, Josh Whitman's the head athletic director, so we had a little exposure to Illinois beforehand, and just Coach Hoffman has done so much with the program in such a short period of time. They went from bottom of the regional, bottom to the Big Ten, to now they're very competitive in the Big Ten, and they won their regional last year, 22nd in the nation. So it's an amazing program with a fantastic group of ladies and just a lot of potential.
Cross country and track and field.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, and is that's a common blend of the two?
Yeah,
right?
yeah. College sports has like you probably know, like it's got like cross country and then track and indoor track and outdoor track. So like it's kind of like we're three sport athletes now once we're in college, which will be kind of interesting. But
well, as a D1 athlete, I mean, your schedule will be controlled by the University of Illinois, basically, in many ways. Well, Lydia, your career, possibly a lawyer or coach?
Yep, I'm definitely looking into ideally law school, and then maybe I might go straight to maybe being a lawyer, prosecutor maybe, but also very interested in my dad's option of just being a coach too, just because I have so much love for the sport, and I know both my sisters feel very similar about just want to stay in the sport for as long as possible.
All of you said too that your favorite and your toughest opponent is your sisters. A lot of people say my toughest opponent is myself, because I'm either my best friend or my worst enemy, depending upon how I do. Is that correct?
I definitely think it is, because my sisters are reflections, I feel like, of different parts of myself, and I'm sure for the same with them, you're constantly training and working with someone who literally lives with you. So if you lose against them in a race, you have to go home and still like
Eat breakfast with them the next day.
The next day. Like, it's definitely it's competitive in a good way, I think, because it truly just keeps us all motivated, because you don't want to let them get the edge or let them get ahead. And I think that like we all reflect different traits that we want in ourselves, so we just like kind of look up to each other in a way, but also are really competitive that way.
Fast forward your life now. You go to Illinois, you graduate in probably 3 years because you're going to be such a good student athlete. But when you graduate, what do you want to do?
Right now I'm definitely more solidly on the coaching path, just because like I do love cross country and track, and it is honestly really hard for me to see leaving running. Business is the major I'm going in, so I might go somewhere in business. But I definitely think right now my priority would be a coach.
Kora, is your future going to be like in raising quail, or what is it going to be?
That's one of the options. I have a lot. I'm going to Illinois for pre-vet animal science studies, because it's been my dream since I was like a little tiny kid to be a vet. But there are multiple, like, depending on how college running goes, I would love to be a pro runner, like to compete for Nike or like the Bowerman Babes project or stuff like that. Or like I'd love to be a vet and have my own practice, or like go have a farm with quail.
Yeah, well, you can follow Emma Bossart. You know who she is, perhaps, and she's been on the show too, and she is an Olympic athlete, of course, from lacrosse, married Joe Bossart from Aquinas, and
Steeplechase.
yeah, steeplechase. But rapid fire drill, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, starting with Kora. Leadership, what does that mean to you?
I guess to me, leadership is like, you always want to show, especially for the younger kids on our team, like you want to show like the most important thing at the end of the day is like loving the sport. So like if you're the leader on the team, like if you're like the first person in the race or whatever, or, like the first person at the workouts, like you always want to show that like love is like at the center of the sport, because it's not fun if you like just show the kids like, oh well, it's always about whether you win or not, or like it's always about whether you like do well. Like to me, leadership is just like fostering, I guess, that like love for running in all of the teammates.
Philosophy of life.
I guess it was either like it all becomes stories or something, because like a lot of the time I struggle with like thinking, like reflecting too much on stuff. So I like that philosophy because it kind of like it's going to become a story anyways, so like you should make it a good one.
Keep it in perspective, in other words. Leadership to Lydia means what?
I think along with what Kora said, like just fostering the love, like you got to show, especially like on teams or something, like definitely like watch out for the younger kids. Just make sure to take care of people as a leader. Like if you see someone who's struggling during a workout, cheer them on, or like have them stop early. Like it's just so important to like make sure to take care of those who look up to you if you're a leader, or if you're like not in a leadership position.
One thing that's really interesting about track and cross country, and competing myself, my children competing, grandchildren competing, the uniqueness between those two sports and say the team sports of football and basketball. It doesn't seem like there's as much like congratulating and being empathetic and rooting for and encouraging other athletes in some of those team sports like there is in the sport of cross country and track. I watch even the races I'm in. Everyone is just encouraging everyone else, especially those that are struggling. Does that describe you and your leadership, Amalia?
Yeah, I definitely think so, because especially in cross country, like you could run the best race of your life and place really high, but you're not going to win the race for your team unless everyone else is racing well and believes that they can make a difference on the team. So I think it's really important that like you always have to cheer everyone on. Like they could be having a horrible race and like you could pass them, but they still need the encouragement, and they still need to be able to know that people want to support them and love them. And that really can give people, like it's given me like fight to keep going during a race, even if you're not having the best race.
That's highly unusual, unique, impressive. Does that go along with your philosophy of life as a high school senior?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Like mine's kind of like whatever happens was meant to happen, and I think that even when you're going into it, like you need to know that as long as you put in your best effort and you felt like you did everything right and you encouraged people and you felt like the team was right, then the outcome is what the outcome you're going to get. And I think that that's just like there's no point in looking back on the past and blaming a ton of different stuff if going into it you know that like you didn't put the most in or put the best of work in.
Well, again, as we tape the show here in November on the Thanksgiving week, we're hoping that fast forwarding to the spring that there is indeed a high school spring season for track and field, which is still kind of questionable, but we hope that things change, and we'll be certainly following you during the track and field season, and perhaps having you back on after you take Onalaska to a state championship.
Yeah.
And do well yourself, and we'll talk about that. You know, there's as we end the show, there's several quotes that I like on runners, and one of them is, the strength of the wolf is in the pack. A wolf by himself is not really dangerous, but a wolf with a pack, oh my goodness, be careful. Same thing, that describes the three of you, because your strength, you feed off your sisters.
For sure.
And that certainly is applicable when I think of you as student athletes at Onalaska High School. Again, this week, guests Kora and Lydia and Amalia Malecek. Well, thanks for being on.
Thank you so much for having us out. It was so much fun.
We'll be back with some closing thoughts and some clips from a football game right after.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 five-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Welcome back to Seven Rivers Sports. Well, Rick and I traveled to Lancaster on Thursday night, the Blue Gulls versus the Flying Arrows from the Southwest Athletic League. The Blue Gulls struck first to go ahead 8-0 after 1. At intermission, Aquinas had 14-8, scores by Joe Penke and by Aiden Lee. 3 more scores for Aquinas in the third, 32-8 at the end of 3. The only score came in the fourth quarter by way of Riley Clark picking up a Lancaster fumble and racing 65 yards to pay dirt. High praise for Tom Lee's Blue Gulls, executing well in every aspect of the game, not only finishing with back-to-back winning seasons, first time since 2007, but also winning the regional championship against 2 of the top-ranked teams. Quarterback Jackson Flotmeyer was 17 for 23 for 251 yards and 3 TDs. Joe Penke ran for 66 yards. Junior Chris Wilson, 6 catches for 70 yards. Quinn Miskowski, 4 receptions, 40 yards. Players of the game, Penke, Wilson, Flotmeyer, Michael Liam, Riley Clark, and Aiden Lee. A 42-8 win for the Blue Gulls, a 5-3 record, a regional championship, and returning most of the players for the 2021 season. Congratulations to Tom Lee and the Aquinas Blue Gulls on a great season. Well, that's it this week here on Seven Rivers Sports. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an active, a healthy, and a good Thanksgiving holiday.